If you can sit down and commit yourself to reading a lot of documentations available online and to do tons of research, then you do not need a consultancy to get the Canadian PR. Let me explain. My name is Jaren. Let's get started. So, this is my understanding. You want to get the Canadian PR and you're trying to understand whether you should do it yourself or if you should get it done through a consultancy. Let me help you figure that out. If you ask me, my suggestion would be to do it yourself. Now the question would be why? Let me give you 5 simple reasons why I think you should get it done by yourself and not through a consultancy. So the first point is the price difference. I got my Canadian PR by doing it myself and I ended up paying around 1,14,000 for the entire process. My friend who started the application process for PR through an agency at the same time ended up paying around 2 lakhs. Now they had to pay an excess of 70,000 rupees just as consultancy fee. On an average, people end up paying 1 lakh rupees in addition to all the other fees and charges that you will incur during the Canadian PR application process. So this is the most important difference. So when I talked about the first point, which is the price difference between doing it yourself and doing it through the consultancy, at least somewhat of you might have thought that it is okay to pay the amount if the consultancy is doing the work. This is what brings me to the second point. The amount of work that the consultants will do for you is so minimal in comparison to the work that you will actually end up doing. Let me explain why. All that the consultants can do for you is talk to you, get the info from you, and get all the documents from you and submit them or upload them on the website. All the other work, including preparing for IELTS, paying the fees for IELTS, applying for IELTS and appearing for IELTS exam, all of this has to be done by you. Getting your certificates or transcripts from your college or colleges if you have multiple degrees, applying for ECA through a third-party vendor like WES for example, making sure that all your transcripts from the colleges go to the concerned ECA vendor such as WES, getting your police certificates done, getting your medicals done, all of these also incurs extra fees. Applying for them is another process. Going and giving this medical or getting the police certificate, depending on the place where you stay, getting a police certificate might have multiple steps involved in it. All of these you have to do, and finally you'll have to compile all of these documents together and submit it to the consultancy as they require. Now if you are ending up doing all of this work and all that they do is just submit the documents online, I don't see the need for the consultants at all. And the price that they take for doing this work is just unjustifiable. The maximum benefit that I think a consultancy can give you is that some good ones can actually guide you through the journey so that you don't make mistakes. But again, the actual consultancies that are good enough to do this are really rare and hard to find. Also, any information that they give you or provide you are already documented well on government websites and other forums, also on YouTube via a lot of other immigrants who have gone through this process. That brings me to the third point, which is communication gap. Unless there is someone you know in the consultancy that you've applied through, or someone in the consultancy so eager about your application, there is every chance that updates on your application might not be conveyed to you at the right time. Also, even if you have submitted the documents to the consultancy on time, the consultancies might not submit it to the IRCC website on time, and thus increasing the processing time of your application or leading to unnecessary complications in the applications. Another pain point that I've heard from friends is that once you've paid the consultancies and they have created your profile online, they do not give you the credentials to log in to the IRCC portal, and therefore you have to rely on them to get all the statuses on your application. This can be truly excruciating. I'm telling from first-hand experiences that I've heard from my friends. The fourth point that I think always is that there is no one else in the world that is more concerned about your application than yourself. If it were you who is following up on the application, you would be on top of your game, checking the status every now and then and making sure that there is no delay in your application process. Also making sure that there are no documents that are unsubmitted. So this is also something that you have to consider. The fifth and perhaps the most important point to remember is that no one, absolutely no one can promise or guarantee that you will get your PR. The agencies or consultancies themselves make this point very clear to you in the beginning so that there is no accountability on them whether you get your PR or not. So these are 5 important points to consider when you think whether you have to do it yourself or should you do it through a consultancy. All that said, I truly understand that there are scenarios where consultancies or agencies can actually help you. There might be a scenario wherein you generally do not have time to apply for the PR or read through the documentations or keep checking the notifications and status and updating the profile as required. There might be others who actually just want to check if they can get the Canadian PR without causing any disturbance to their current lifestyle or current job. But even then, you need to find the best consultancy out there only by taking into account the first-hand experiences from people you actually know who have got the PR through these consultancies. Now, I've already explained why I think it is better to do it yourself rather than going to a consultancy to get your Canadian PR. But then the obvious question would be how to get the Canadian PR without going to an agency. So I'll be explaining all of the steps that I did to get my Canadian PR through a lot of videos on this channel. So please do make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any of those videos. But in this video, let me give you one single source of truth that you have to rely on for anything related to immigration in Canada. That is www.canada.ca. This is the official website of Canadian government, and this website has all the details of immigration as well. So keep in mind that www.canada.ca is the source of truth when it comes to immigration related questions that you might have for Canada. Also, there are a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of forums that are there for you to discuss and get answers for a lot of questions that you have regarding the Canadian immigration as well. Though you can use all of these sources, keep in mind that the only source of truth is going to be canada.ca. So wherever you refer to, whichever video you go through, just make sure that you come back and check if it's valid on canada.ca so that you can be sure that what you're doing is the right way. So let me also take you through a couple of points that I think you should keep in mind when you're applying for the Canadian PR yourself. The first point that comes to my mind is more the merrier. So as much as you can, please go through different YouTube videos or different blogs which are writing about Canadian immigration, but also try to find articles or videos that talk about the specific pathways that you choose for the Canadian PR. The second point, like I said in the first point, the more the merrier. So reading from multiple sources can't be stressed enough, but self-discretion is most important. You have to make sure that whatever info you get from different sources are validated. How can you do that? You can go to the official website. Like I said, canada.ca is the official website of the Government of Canada. Also, you can try to see if there are multiple other sources that are providing the same information on the same topic. Then at least you could believe that information a bit more stronger because at least there are multiple people telling the same thing. The third point is to not hesitate to ask questions, be it in forums or be it to people who have done the immigration. Do not hesitate to ask questions. How much ever naive you think your question is, I'm pretty sure there is someone out there in that forum or in that group that would have gone through the same question while they were applying for the immigration as well. So please keep in mind that any question that comes to your mind, if you're not finding an answer easily, please go out there on forums or on YouTube videos. You can post as comments or do cold emails to people who have immigrated to Canada. Better yet, if you have relatives in Canada or friends in Canada, ask them directly the question that you have in mind. They might not know the answer, but at least it's worth trying. The fourth point is very much in sync with the third that I just said of reaching out to people. The fourth one that I've written down is to reach out to official accounts on let's say Twitter or even websites which have the chat functionality. Do not hesitate away from reaching out to the official channels. You'll be surprised that they actually do reply. I've done that myself. I've reached out to a couple of agencies on Twitter and they have all replied. Sure, the answers might be a little slow to come in, but at least if you get the answers, you are sure that you're on the right path. So please keep in mind to reach out to official accounts if there is a need or if there is a question that you want answered to. The fifth point that I've written down is also very important. It is that you should not, I'm stressing this, you should not lie in your application or provide any fake certificates in your application submission. This can lead to really bad complications later. So please do avoid lying in your application or even providing fake certificates for that matter. So the sixth point that I wanted to talk to you about is reviewing every information that you've written down in your application. Make sure that you review it multiple times, not once, not twice, maybe thrice or more by yourself, and make sure that all the information is exactly what you wanted to enter and you have not misspelled anything or you've not entered a date wrong. Don't change your date of birth, for example. It can happen, and even gender or things like that. So make sure that you review it multiple times, even though you're confident that you've entered the right information. And another step that you could do is to review the entire application along with someone in your family or one of your friends. Together, if you sit down and review all the information again, they can point out errors if you have missed something. So this is a very good thing to do, and keep in mind to do this before submitting your application on the IRCC portal. Okay, so these are some of the points that I wanted to talk to you about applying for the Canadian PR immigration. Just keep these in mind so that you do not end up in a bad situation. And for the answer to the video's question, I would suggest that you do it yourself and not through a consultancy. But like I said, if you are someone who do not have time to spend on reading through all these documentations and going through the entire process yourself, and if you have the money to spend, please do feel free to go to a consultancy. At that point, please make sure that the consultancy that you go to is a reputed one. You have heard stories of people actually getting PR, as well as based on their experiences, just make a wise decision and choose a good consultancy. There are a few out there, and just think through it and make this decision. Thank you so much for watching. Please do share this video and drop a like and subscribe to this channel for more videos. Thank you. This is Jaren signing off.